Hello, everybody, and welcome to DappRadar's Off the Blockchain. I think we're on episode 11 now. It's this podcast where we talk about everything under the umbrella of Web3. We've been away for 2 weeks, but as always, I have my speaker in residence with me, Ian Kane, and the king of content, Robert Hogendorn. You also have me, Charlie, DappRadar writer, occasional podcast host, and keen observer of the metaverse. As always, like and subscribe if you're a regular listener and you like what you hear, and you can always catch us on Spotify as well. Right, today what we got lined up, we'll be discussing Axie Infinity's 2022. What's happening at the former king of play-to-earn gaming? Are they on their way up, on their way down? We'll find out. We also have heard that NFTs are falling off a cliff. That's a line inspired by our own Pedro Herrera, who was quoted in Bloomberg. So are NFTs falling off a cliff? We'll discuss that. And there's also Solana's recent string of fails. It seems to be going well there in some ways, but they've also had a bit of bad publicity recently, and Ian's going to be talking us through that. We've also got show and tell, where we'll be discussing DappRadar's amazing new cross-chain staking, the first of its kind in the world. Robert's going to be taking us through a demo of that and showing us how exciting that is. We've also got community questions at the end, and there's also going to be a short DappRadar tutorial from Ian to show users how to get the best out of our tools. Now, before we get into any of that, you two, I haven't seen you on the podcast for a couple of weeks. Ian, how you doing? What's up?
I'm all right, man. Doing well, doing good. Not really much to report back on. Growing my beard, staying healthy.
I can see that. You really look like a forest man now, aren't you? Chopper of wood and all that.
Been working really hard, you know. It takes a lot of effort to do nothing, so I'm really working hard on it right now.
No, it's getting nice and bushy.
Yeah, it's almost like you're staking. Oh.
And Rob,
there's no rewards. Where's the rewards?
Babes, infinite babes. Yeah.
Rob, how have you been? I've heard you had a bit of a tumultuous time during the last 2 weeks. Something to do with the airport and getting stuck somewhere. So.
Yes, let's not talk about my travel failures. That's a bit too embarrassing.
At the sore point. Fair enough.
The thing I'm excited about, actually, yesterday, Artifact launched the 3D models of their CloneX avatars. And they announced that they are free for commercial use. So what you're now seeing with Bored Apes, that you have now Eminem and Snoop Dogg launching a music video with their Bored Apes.
The CC0 thing.
Yeah, CC0 thing. That's now also a possibility with CloneX. And CloneX now being part of the Nike family, interesting stuff might happen. Maybe we will see CloneX anime because they also have this partnership with this Japanese artist. Maybe we will see a anime or manga type of partnership. Who knows? So I find it interesting.
They look quite anime already, don't they?
Yeah.
And one thing I heard recently about Bored Apes is that people are now renting them out to other companies to use the image that they own. So you can rent, maybe you'll be able to rent out your CloneX for people to use the image of to make content.
No, that's possible. Yeah, and it's a bit. I think renting is a bit tricky. It's more. The way I would see it is, I would have a Bored Ape or a CloneX. I would make it famous. No, you build a reputation around it, and then you rent it or you assign it to a job, right? So I kind of foresee that you have this online celebrity, which is a Bored Ape, who will show up in the commercials for Kellogg's cornflakes. I don't know, something like that.
The crazy new world of Web3 that we live in now.
Yeah.
That's cool though. Keep a hold of your CloneX, and maybe we ought to rent it out in the future. Right, should we move on to DappRadar's very exciting new development, which is all over the news at the moment. It's a world first. Cross-chain staking, which is really impressive. I know our developers worked really hard on this, and we're all excited when it launched. So Rob, do you want to share your screen, take us through how it works, what it is, and we can have a little look at how it goes in practice.
Absolutely.
Truly,
here it is. So we're on the DappRadar website. In the top menu, you click Radar. And now in the left menu, you click Staking. And there we have it, the staking platform. Now the left side is for liquidity pools on SushiSwap. So ignore that for now. We're going to focus on this right pillar. Right now, the APR, the juicy 320%. That's basically the interest you get over paid-in Radar tokens over an entire year. This number drops as more people join. It was 500% yesterday, now 300, now in a couple of days, maybe 200, 100, whatever. Now what's interesting of this new technology that we have is that you can stake Radar tokens on BNB chain or on Ethereum, or both. So right now, I have staked 29,000 Radar on BNB chain. So if you click here, you can change the network. Now, for obvious reasons, being gas fees, I'm using BNB chain right now. If you have Radar tokens on Ethereum and you want to stake them, yes, you pay higher gas fees, but it works exactly the same. So I stay on BNB chain. Right now.
And then just quickly, Rob, the APR is the same for both chains, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We use a technology called Layer 0. Very interesting technology. They allow us to synchronize the APR across different chains. So right now it's BNB and Ethereum. In the future, Polygon can follow, and maybe further down the line we will even add non-EVM chains because that's also a possibility. We could add Solana, or we could add anything else.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very, very cool technology, and we are the first to really utilize it. So Radar staked right now 29,000. I have at this moment 239 Radar earned. So let's and I have 1,000 Radar in my balance. So let's add some Radar. So what I will do is I will first. Do you want me to first to harvest, or do you want me first to stake? What should I do?
Yeah, go harvest first.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it shows you collecting your tokens.
Yes. So harvest your token rewards. This is what I have. It will be transferred to my wallet. In this case, because I'm on BNB chain, it will transfer it to my BNB wallet. So I will confirm. A pop-up will appear. This one looks kind of scary. It's an extra precaution. It doesn't look very nice, we know. It's not a pop-up that will disappear. The pop-up will always be there. We will make it look better over time. But it's an extra precaution because Layer 0 and DappRadar cross-chain token staking works across different blockchains. And we need this extra security measure to make sure that people actually want to claim. So I sign this. And now I need to pay the gas fees to claim on BNB. As you can see, very little BNB required.
I should have done mine on BNB.
Transaction is in progress. Radar is on its way. At the bottom here, you can see claim initiated. Our faces are blocking it. And now processing transaction. It might take up to 40 minutes for the tokens to be transferred to your wallet. We'll send you a notification as soon as that's fully completed. Now, why does it take 40 minutes? Like, from normal staking at other protocols, like a claim that reaches your wallet within a few minutes, right? Because we work with different blockchains, and because the API is the same on all blockchains, there's this constant need for confirmations between different chains. So I claim I have a stake on Ethereum, I have a stake on BNB, I claim rewards on BNB, but the controller, which actually is on the Phantom blockchain, it needs to confirm all the actions that I want to do, and it needs to make sure that all the liquidity is there to actually perform it. So this is required. Yeah.
In a nutshell, is that kind of basically just all these smart contracts need to communicate what's happening with each other?
Correct.
Hence why it takes so long, or not longer than the normal ones. But there's obviously so much stuff going on behind the scenes that,
exactly.
They need to make sure they're doing the right thing.
Exactly. So right now you see it's claiming. At some point, the harvest here, so the 250 will disappear. and then it will be added to my Radar staked.
Nice. Couple of questions, Rob, like devil's advocate questions, really. When you say a BNB wallet, can we use MetaMask?
Yes, like your wallet that you have on MetaMask is a EVM wallet, so it's an Ethereum wallet, and it's compatible with every other blockchain, or every other EVM compatible blockchain. So if you have a wallet address on Ethereum, you have the same wallet address on Polygon, on Binance Smart Chain, on
Avalanche,
etc.
Yeah. Okay. And if you want to add they're called RPCs. If you're using MetaMask, you can just Google search literally RPC for BNB chain, or go to, there's a specific site actually I can't remember the name of, where you can do that as well. Cool. Second question, you're talking about putting Radar tokens, which is an ERC20 Ethereum based token, onto BNB chain. Is there some bridging process that I need to do first, or how is this working? Is this an organic thing? How does that work?
There are two ways. Like right now, when you stake Radar on Ethereum, you can claim your rewards on BNB and you will get Radar tokens on BNB. You could see this as a form of bridging.
Yeah.
Another option you have, and you will see this one right here. So bridge Radar to BNB chain. We use multi-chain. We have established a bridge through multi-chain, which allows you to literally bridge your Radar to BNB chain. But it's a bit of technical, requires some transactions. So if you're a bit lazy and you have the time, you might as well stake on Ethereum, leave your Radar there for a long time, and claim your Radar consistently on BNB and get Radar on BNB that way.
It makes sense.
And we got something exciting coming up pretty soon. We're going to have a partnership with ApeSwap. By the time this podcast will be live, it will probably have been announced already, and that will bring more liquidity for BNB on the BNB. More liquidity for Radar on the BNB smart chain.
Nice. So for now, that's BNB chain and Ethereum, and plans to expand maybe to Polygon in the future.
Yes, Polygon is on the roadmap. We don't have an ETA for that yet, but it's coming, and after that we'll see. And I just got an alert. Radar claimed successfully. It showed up in the bottom right corner, and now you can see. So this took 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Not even
now.
Yeah.
My claim has been processed. I now have increased balance, and I can now say add Radar and add this Radar to my stake. So I can say confirm. Again, a pop-up will appear. Again, that weird message that we need to sign, and then the transaction itself.
Yeah, that's quite an important point there about it not auto compounding. So yeah, it's a manual process. Once a week, perhaps you can go top up your Radar, and then you're increasing your holding, which increases your rewards, and that cycle continues, right?
Yeah, and it's best to do it through. If you want to auto compound regularly, then it's definitely best to do it through BNB, because that seems it's got the cheap. It would be quite expensive, basically, to do it through.
Yeah. Don't if you want to generally claim your rewards on BNB.
Yeah.
Unless you have some very important reason to keep your Radar on Ethereum, it's just so much cheaper to claim on BNB chain. It's for most users it will be a no-brainer.
Now, Rob, this is the actual question from me. I've staked mine on Ethereum. Could I then take it out on BNB and then stake it on BNB?
No. Like what you have staked on Ethereum stays on Ethereum.
Yeah.
Unless you use the bridge.
Okay.
Here, so then you need to bridge it manually through multi-chain to BNB chain. So then your in that case your Radar on Ethereum will disappear and will pop up on BNB chain, and you can use it there.
Yeah. So I've learned something new here. You see.
That's pretty useful. There's also something I learned yesterday when trying to do this. So I don't know, it's probably worth telling people. So Radar is available on crypto.com. That became quite a popular place for people to pick up Radar. Now, some people are asking, how do I get it from there to MetaMask so that I can actually stake it, right? So when you're in crypto.com, you can easily send tokens from there to MetaMask, but there is a bit of a process there. They give you a choice. You can use the Kronos blockchain, which is theirs, or you can use the Ethereum ERC20 blockchain to transfer the tokens. If you use Kronos, it is far cheaper, but your tokens won't be in your Ethereum wallet. They will go to the Kronos wallet, as it were. So it'll be in MetaMask, but it's on Kronos. So you won't be able to stake it. So if you're trying to, without doing all sorts of then bridging it back and all sorts of ridiculous moves. So basically what I'm saying is if you're bringing it from crypto.com over to MetaMask, use the ERC20 option to make the transfer. It costs more, but it's going to save you in the long run. So that was something I saw people asking about as well.
That's a bit of a problem, of course. Like, Kronos supports, Crypto.com supports export to Kronos, but we don't service Kronos at the moment. So because it's an ERC20 token, it's compatible technically with every EVM chain. But we as DappRadar, we tailor our services to specific blockchains for specific reasons. And ideally, yes, we want to serve all blockchains, have radar available everywhere. But the industry isn't there yet. The mass isn't there yet. So until that time, we are selective at what we pick, starting with Ethereum, now BNB, Polygon on the roadmap, and beyond, undecided.
I guess this might be a good time to discuss why we're doing cross-chain staking and sort of where it comes from in DappRadar's initial reason for coming into being in the first place back a few years ago when the guys first put it together. The whole point is that we're a chain agnostic platform that looks across the whole of blockchain and not just at one or two. So we're trying to reflect that in cross-chain staking, where we hopefully have stuff where you can mix across all different chains and no specific one is given preference over another.
And also
recognizing
our users that use BNB chain a lot. Like, we know that the users of DappRadar are interacting with Polygon and other chains often. So it kind of moves in regard to how our community sees things as well and what they do. So it makes sense.
It's not just about Ethereum, is it? It's about all the different ones that are coming on board all the time.
Exactly, yeah. So, we see a lot of traction on BNB and Poly for our community. So it makes a lot of sense for us. But as you said, more chains in the future, it can just keep expanding.
So right now, my stake radar arrived, and it's now 30,000 radar, and I get an APR of 320% over this amount, plus what I have staked on Ethereum. So like the amount you earn is based on what you have staked on BNB and what you have staked on Ethereum combined. So that's an important thing to note. Now, one last thing about cross-chain staking. You might have seen this Dapp selected option. This is something we call boosting. It's very much in its infancy, but what boosting will allow you to do is support your favorite Dapp. So depending on the chain you have selected here, so right now I've selected BNB chain. Because of that, I can only select BNB chain dApps at the moment. It's something we're working on to improve. But you can select a Dapp, whichever one you want, and boost it. You can only select one Dapp at a time, and you can boost it. And what boosting does right now is very little. It's a reputation thing. What it will do in the future, it will unlock extra features on that specific Dapp page. It might even become beneficial for a Dapp developer to have their page boosted, because it gives them more data or it gives them more features. But that's still everything is still under heavy development.
That's super cool.
But this is an exciting first step for bringing utility to Radar token that benefits both users and Dapp developers.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's super cool. I was just going to add about hardware wallets. If you've got your Radar and a hardware wallet, fees are crazy. So it's not advisable to do it like that right now. It's a known issue. You can move your Radar out of your hardware wallet to do this alternatively. But yeah, the fees for hardware wallets were like half an ETH. So don't click yes on that one.
Yeah. The hardware wallet issue is being worked on and will be resolved ASAP. It's a priority for devs.
But it's a pretty amazing feature, right? Like this is proper groundbreaking. Being able to claim rewards on Binance, like that you're collect. It's amazing.
Yeah, I kind of just want to do a big shout out to the team who put this together, because that must be some hard. Well, I knew it was hard work, but also just some really clever people who put something together. It's so incredible. And
I mean, can you imagine? Right now we only support Ethereum BNB, but in the future, there's Polygon, there's Avalanche, there's whatever. You stake in your radar, and you can claim the rewards on whichever chain you at that moment want to use. So let's say you're playing Krabada on Avalanche. You want to buy some more tokens, but you don't have the liquidity. You just claim your radar rewards to Avalanche, swap it there for whatever token you need, and boom, you have the liquidity needed to. And it's also easy. You don't have to bridge. You don't have to whatever.
Yeah,
you claim your rewards.
yourself so many fees as well, aren't you?
Yes.
All those bridging fees and changing fees and wrapping stuff and unwrapping it.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think this is going to be the start of something that other people are going to copy and follow and try and do. But we are the first ones here doing it.
That's what I find really exciting as well, Charlie. Like, who's gonna who we're like taking the lead on this? But now this opens up such a massive world for DeFi protocols and other people. Like, it's a no-brainer. They would attract a lot of customers with this kind of mechanism. So yeah, I'm keen to see what happens with it. Really,
simply look at the DeFi rankings page, right? Which Pancake Swap, okay, it's BNB only, but BitKeep Swap supports 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 plus different chains. 12 plus.
Crazy.
Yeah, and they all have like most of those DeFi protocols. They always have like support for one blockchain, but it's like an isolated ecosystem with the same branding on top.
Yeah.
And now with this type of technology, you can really become cross-chain, multi-chain.
And could you do that for something? Imagine if you could claim your rewards from like a curve pool across different chains. And
yes,
this is what I'm thinking.
And there's like millions and millions and so much money in those things that people just, I'll pop that in and I'll take that out, and it makes it easier for everyone. It saves people money, makes everyone more flexible. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm impressed.
Like doing it daily or weekly or something's pretty cool, because it used to be the case that you would have to wait for quite a while to even accumulate enough to cover the Ethereum gas fees. So you're like, the first couple of weeks is like just waiting to even cover your costs, basically. So it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome, and it will keep evolving, right? So you'll hear more. I'm sure we'll talk about this a lot more. Yeah,
it's just the start of it, and the roadmap is, I know it's long, and they're always adding features and doing new stuff and always working on stuff. No, really incredible. We can talk about this for ages, but we should move on because we've already spoken for long enough. Right, let's talk about Axie Infinity and the year they've had in 2022 so far. To infinity and beyond. The good days seem like years away, maybe. Right, so let me just quickly talk you both through what's happened in 2022 so far. Bear in mind, Axie Infinity was the king of play-to-earn gaming this time last year. I know a lot of people made a lot of money from it during the pandemic, and it did some good things. It kind of launched guilds. But this year they had the $600 million hack, obviously. The price of Axie, the little critters that you get as your in-game characters, as NFTs, they were about $400. So it cost you about $1,200 to buy into the game. Now they're about $2 or $3 each. So that's a huge, huge drop. SLP, which is the stuff that you use to spawn new Axie characters, that's gone down to almost zero, almost. AXS price is 91.2% off its all-time high. So that's the price of the in-game token. Monthly new accounts have continued to drop every month since the beginning of this year. So the number of new people coming to this ecosystem is falling, and an ecosystem that relies on new users, obviously that's not a great sign. But have things turned around, right? So there's the launch of the Origin game. Axie announced the first grant winner of its Axie Builders program. So that's independent game makers, the community making games on the platform. Land staking was launched, where holders can earn AXS for staking their Savannah, Forest, Arctic, Mystic, and Genesis land. And in the past week, data is looking quite good for the game. In the last 7 days, in the marketplace, volume's gone up by 111%. Traders are up by 11%. Sales across their NFTs are up 13%. So the last week looks like it's kind of going well. Users are up 9.9%. Transactions are up as well. So the stats look quite good in the very short recent term. But all in all, it's had a bit of a 2022 has been a mixed bag for Axie Infinity. I know that they've just also fixed the bridge and you can now take your money off the Ronin blockchain. But my question to you, Rob, I know you've got some opinions on this, is have Axie Infinity's fortunes turned around? Are there still valid criticisms that Sky Mavis need to answer? Because it looks like things are going well, but there's obviously a lot of bad things as well.
So much, like there's so much criticism on Sky Mavis and Axie Infinity. It's okay. Let's start. Like the Ronin hack. Okay, I'm not going to go into security, and they should have done things different. Let's forget about the Ronin hack. Just look at SLP. SLP was the bread and butter for many players. It's the reason hundreds of thousands of players have jumped to Axie Infinity, like you said, during the pandemic, because they could earn SLP. SLP meant for them that they could buy bread, they could buy food, and all
in the real world, yeah.
In the real world, yeah. So that was a very, very important thing. But now SLP has gone to zero, and it's nearly impossible to make a living with the game. Now the big problem is, of course, like what else? What do you use SLP for? Now, breeding. But breeding only is needed when there's a strong demand for Axies. Axies have gone, like you said, from $400 to $2. Like there's absolutely no demand for Axies. There's no mass demand for Axies at all. So there's a general supply problem with Axies and with SLP. On top of that, there's the AXS token. It dropped tremendously in value. It's a governance token, but there's no way to spend AXS. They hand it out for staking rewards. They hand it out for land staking, but there's no way to spend it. So again, like this will be like AXS dropping onto the markets. People who really believe in Sky Mavis and Axie Infinity, they might buy it, but ultimately, like it will be more and more AXS coming onto the market. So potentially, price of AXS will be under pressure.
So essentially, at the moment, the sort of bottom's fallen out of the in-game economy.
No, yeah. The problem is there is no economy.
Yeah.
There is a generation of tokens and rewards, but there's no buying back, and that's where, for example, their builders program becomes interesting, because what they're going to do is every new game that enters the ecosystem needs to have a SLP and AXS burning mechanism. Okay, depending on how strong it is and how good the games are, that development will have an effect on the actual economy. But yeah, that's all like future talk. Like we don't know how good those games are. We don't know whether people will like them. So at the moment,
basically, it's a shiny roadmap that looks like it could have some use in the future. But at the moment, there is absolutely almost nothing there for people to really grab onto and use and hold. Yeah, and then of course there's land staking. Like everybody is praising, oh yes, land staking. But 3 years ago they did a land sale. That's a long time.
So people have been waiting for 3 years to get the first utility for virtual land. 3 years to get staking. I mean, not to pat ourselves at DappRadar on the shoulders, but we did it in 7 months. So
and ours is cross-chain.
Yeah. But point being is that so this is for strong people with strong criticism and people with strong opinions on Sky Mavis. These are all like serious issues. And of course, there are people who support them and people who will say, oh, but they're doing a good job. And they have done an amazing job. I mean, the team put play to earn on a map. They established a new paradigm in gaming. They were the first to front run it. Was it perfect? No, absolutely not. We're now dealing with the mess that it has cost. But it has shown the way, And can they turn things around? Yeah, I think they can. But it will be super, super challenging.
Yeah, having personal experience of playing the game, it wasn't really much of a game. So they need to actually have a good product there in the first place now. So I think this builders program is sort of make or break, because they're sort of subcontracting out their development to independent people and other companies, which is cool because it means that you'll get this whole variety of games from different makers and people who think different ways, but they need to sort of get that going quite quickly. I mean, I saw this sort of Mario Kart type game that people were talking about in February, and we've heard nothing about it in the 5 months since. How long do these things, if staking took 3 years, when's the next game going to be coming out?
These are like they have the origin, right? So the V2 of their, or V3 whatever of the game. That's like internally developed. There's still lots of tweaking going on. There's lots of bugs in origin. It's still far from perfect. And so those other games, the cool thing is, you will use your Axie. So you will race with your Axie based on the stats of that Axie. You will have certain powers in the racing game. That's all pretty cool, but those are pretty sophisticated gameplay mechanics. Like anybody can, not anybody, but many people, many developers can make a simple racing game using an NFT, using some graphics, and have it shoot something. But then you need to make it fun. That's challenging. I mean, it's not without reason that the king of card games is still Mario Kart, despite all the developments over the years by third parties, including Sega with Sonic Racing and like back in the days, Wacky Wheels. Mario Kart has always had competition, but never anybody has been able to live up.
It's funny, they still bring out
to the amount of fun.
Yeah, like they still bring out games now, and they're still fun to play. Even the new ones that are based on Mario Kart. Of all those little kind of like character cartoony ones, they're the best, aren't they?
I think game builders still look at those games. I believe when I worked at a game company, they were obsessed with the actions of Mario and the kind of combination of how he jumped and how that was fun and how it was practical.
The way he pops off.
I think they absolutely nailed some of the like core mechanics of gaming, and they're still used as a reference, I think, to be honest with you. So but then that kind of can be also true of like Axie too, right? And I think, Rob, you mentioned that Axie, I kind of see the bigger picture here as being like Ronin, and the fact that Axie moved across to its own custom sidechain to make things easier for its users. But yes, that was one thing they did, but the whole thing was a bit of a case study, right? They were figuring out how to create a network that could launch games out there for good fee values and where players could have fun and not spend a ton of money. And I think that Sky Mavis sees Ronin as like the de facto blockchain for gaming, and that Axie, actually, Rob, you just nailed it. Like you came up, they did all these things, and now we're talking about should they go further? And it's like, maybe they won't. Maybe Axie will stay as it is, and maybe we will see future developments of different games and like completely different things, but
in the ecosystem.
They have a foundation to leap from. They have a community to tap into. And like we said at the beginning, like we're not slating Axie, because if they did anything, they literally introduced the world to play to earn. You've got GDP of Vietnam contributed to by a game. Like that's incredible. And the putting play to earn on the map, maybe their job is kind of done in that regard. Like we want more from them. You know what I mean? Like we keep wanting more from them. But
it's interesting. It's interesting. Like the Axies can be like the Mario, like character-wise. They can be like the flagship brand.
Yeah.
But what you said about Ronin, like ultimately from a business point of view, what makes more money? The one game or the platform?
Exactly.
The platform, like from a business point of view, like Ronin makes an awful lot of sense.
Definitely.
And just inviting other people to make games, or other developers to make games on that blockchain, like Immutable X is doing at the moment.
Exactly.
Getting people to build on them.
They all seem to be sort of going that way, where they've done the hard work so that others can launch in a more efficient manner. And also remember with Axie was like number one, and nobody really, but we saw so many games pop up last year, and customers for once had a choice. And if rewards weren't hot in Axie, they could hop over to Crypto Blades, or they could hop over to DeFi Kingdoms, or they had a choice basically. And Axie for the first time found itself with proper competitors, whether it was advanced as Axie or not. But and now it's interesting because they're in the water with all the other sharks. and let's see how they get on. Basically, isn't it? Like,
so it sounds to me like there's a bit of a mixed bag. As I said at the top, 2022 has been an up and down year for the platform. We'll see how it goes, but they're certainly not out of the woods yet, despite some recent good news stories.
No.
Another sector of the Web3 world that's had a bit of an up and down year is NFTs. Now, NFTs have fallen off a cliff is a quote from our very own DappRadar's Pedro Herrera that was quoted in Bloomberg. And I'm not sure if that's exactly what he meant.
That's not exactly what he said either.
No,
but,
maybe he was slightly he might have been slightly misquoted, slightly taken out of context. But it's a good jump-off point to ask: have they fallen off a cliff? Because they've certainly gone down in price. So
I think
it's take us through that.
Yeah, it's so just to start, we're talking about Pedro basically is one of our analysts. He said something and that got turned into NFTs have basically fallen off a cliff. Now, we want to provide context to that because it's based on a report that was delivered on the 21st of June. So we want to add some context to this basically. But importantly, also in the NFT world is the fact that, we're seeing values drop based on the fact that they're priced in crypto and things like that. So there's a lot of nuance with the NFTs that people need to bear in mind. And also the fact that, I need to explain this properly. When you come off the back of a massive hype phase, like a massive hype phase, when you compare one month of hype with 1 month of not so much hype, or 1 quarter of hype with the same, or 1 year of hype against the not so hypey year, you're gonna get negative results. That's how data works.
Sorry to interrupt there, Ian. But you just saying that kind of reminds me of if you compare the S&P 500 now to a year ago, you would say the American economy has fallen off a cliff. It hasn't.
Exactly. It hasn't
come out of the bubble.
Bang on, Charlie. Like that's what media does. They need people to click on the article, right? So it looks better that it says falls off a cliff. We get that. We write things too. It's all good. But let's add some context, right? So I think it's very important to reference that you're comparing hypey hype with, it's like comparing a footballer who scored 100 goals in a season in the next year where they only had 1. Like it just doesn't work. So you can't really do that. On paper, it looked great, but it's not real. So so on this weekend, we had a big drop in crypto prices on the 21st. I think ETH hit like $900. Bitcoin fell below 20,000 for the first time. And at the same time, floor prices for blue chip NFTs, they rose by 20%. Now, for me, this is pretty organic. It's like
all price in dollar, by the way.
Yes. Sorry, floor price in dollars, which makes sense given the price of crypto went down 20%. So if you want to retain the value in your NFT, you put the price up by 20%. That just kind of makes sense to me. But it's not what we expected to see. People have said that NFTs would follow suit with crypto, but it's not happening. In that same weekend, CryptoPunks and Meebit saw trading growth 680 something percent for CryptoPunks and Meebit's 360%. So a lot of trading activity over that weekend because they were cheaper, right? So a bit like the crypto winter in January, we saw this like silver lining almost where loads of NFT collections, they've kind of sidestepped the bear market. And you see 50% drops for Ethereum, 50% drops for Bitcoin, but you don't see that in the blue chip collections. So the same pattern is being observed now as well, where we're seeing you've got many NFTs that are showing that they can hold value better than the 2 most rated cryptocurrencies out there. When ETH is dropping 50, Bored Ape Yacht Club dropped 1.7, something like that. So what we're talking about here is a store of value. So have they dropped off the cliff? Maybe all the rubbishy ones that nobody cared about dropped off the cliff, but that was obviously going to happen. Have blue chips dropped off the cliff? No, not at all. And Rob's going to just take us through a bit of the kind of looking at the last 7 days in NFT world through the DappRadar lens. You'll see what's going on here is the trading is buoyant, and they haven't fallen.
Yeah, things are still
Bottom line, they didn't fall off the cliff. I'm backing up my man Pedro, and like there's context here that needs to be understood. So Rob, jump in, man.
Yeah.
There we go.
So this is last 7 days trading volume. Now, floor prices from Ethereum name service we don't give because it's the way they work. There's no limit to their to minting ENS domains.
And it's a weird we can get into that another day, but that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole nother thing there as well with like the
Yeah.
renewal of VNSs as well. Yeah.
That's a
Okay.
lot of discussion indeed. But I mean, this is the last 7 days. I mean, truth being told, like the last 7 days, crypto hasn't dropped that much. But still, what do you see here? Like floor price.
Green.
Punks up 40%. CloneX 22%. Side mark here, like CryptoPunks have been worth more than $100,000. I think they even at some point were close to $150,000. So the floor price of punks has gone down. CloneX has been 25,000-30,000. So it has dropped a lot as well. But has it dropped a lot as much as crypto? Yeah. That's some of them did, some of them didn't. Like I think the point is that if you look at 30 days, you will see floor price has been down considerably, except for Goblin Town and for Art Blocks. But these floor prices, so the cheapest ones available, 20% in dollar price, 28%. So Bored Apes have become 28% cheaper. But in the past month, what has Ether done? So let's go to Ether. Oh. So Ether in the past 30 days, what does it say? 38%. So the floor price of literally every NFT collection
All of
in
them,
this
yeah.
except for the duplicator. I don't know what. I think there's something to do with the doodles. I don't know what it is. But basically, every NFT collection has held its value better than ETH
in
the past 30
to
days.
Yeah.
And that's important, right? Because people don't
That's
think
important.
that asset class, that's what, it's a monkey face, it's a crypto punk, but it's an asset class for holding financial value. That's important. Yeah.
And of course, when you have crypto punks, then yes, the what shall we call them? The monkey crypto punks, some fake NFT collection. Yes, they will probably lose 99% of their value because there's no significance to them. And when you invest in NFTs, you should do research. So don't buy monkey crypto punks because somebody tells you it's super valuable.
And certainly don't buy them. Don't buy them and then complain when they drop in value either.
No. Don't believe every DM you receive on Discord that you need to jump into this mint. Be smart about it. So look at what NFT collection means. Look at who are the people behind it. And yes, you can be lucky at times. When Goblin Town launched, it was crazy, and it became something valuable.
That caught the zeitgeist for the moment, but even that's dropping down now as well.
Yeah. But even with Goblin Town, if you look at how they did everything in the opposite way, I mean, we work in crypto, so for us, it was probably I kind of thought this is going to work. They're doing things so horribly horrible, it's going to stick because people are so enthralled by this idea of amateur hour almost. But
someone doing it against the grain,
Exactly. We knew it was going to pop.
All right, so let me basically wrap up our sentiments there are that they haven't fallen off a cliff. Everything has kind of fallen off a cliff because a lot of bad things or unfortunate things are happening in the world that have colluded to, affect the worldwide economy. We know about the inflation. We know about oil prices. We know about food shortages. We know about conflicts all over the world. So what we found out is that NFTs don't live in a silo. We haven't found out they've fallen off a cliff. We found out they've sort of done less badly than other parts of the economy. So maybe we shouldn't be too quick to say that the NFTs are dead. It's just that everything's gone a bit to shit, if you'll excuse my...
A little bit. And what Rob was saying about trying to identify who's hot and who's cool, this is the time to figure out who's staying in the top 10 and then use them as a guide to see what kind of NFTs would be successful in the future, right?
Yeah, and as Rob just showed us here, it takes 2 minutes on DappRadar's rankings page. You can see exactly how they're all done over the last 7 days, 24 hours, 30 days, and how they're performing and what's selling and what's not and what's hot. So, right, we'll move on swiftly now and we'll go on to talking about Solana and whether or not they've been having a few fails recently. What's been happening over there? Have they? What is? Yeah, they've had some bad PR, but it's not all going badly, is it?
No, not at all. Like, let's start by just saying that like Solana was touted as the world's fastest blockchain, right? So it's obviously attracted its own attention by saying such a cool thing that people are now wanting them to fail because they're so.
I mean, it is
good.
fast and cheap.
Yeah, it's fast and cheap, like it works, right? But just having a look at what's happened over the year. So there was stuff that happened last year as well, but with Solana, it fell victim to a couple of DDoS attacks in December, which rendered I think the network was out for 9 days in total of that whole month, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Significant. And it occurred because of excessive duplicate transactions. And a lot of this is to do with the infrastructure of how Solana is put together. And there've been more outages as well since those in January. They were the most significant. We've seen the downfall of Solend, who have actually been bailed out by Binance. The very recent, I think it was on Monday, nearly $9 million Crema DeFi hack, the wormhole token bridge exploit. Again, these are not things that are like localized only to Solana. Other networks are suffering these same sorts of problems. But with Solana, it appears to me that there's a trend emerging here that they're having problems, right? So
security issues, it seems to be a lot of.
Security issues, runtime issues would seem to be the biggest issue they're facing. But I'm just going to read something out from their CEO, Anatoly Yakovenko, because he wants to remind everybody of this. So because the Solana network runs in real time with no gaps between block producers, these resource-intensive blocks can cause the next block producer to skip or fork. And that limits the number of blocks successfully produced, leading to a decrease in the total transactions per second capacity, while the network resolves these conflicts. So it's important that people understand how Solana functions in order to understand how it's breaking first. But yeah, I don't want to dwell on the bad news, but talking about the token as well, what about Sol? Suffered a significant down. The height, I think it was $260 in November last year. Now it's around 35. So, and in the last 90 days, it's lost about 70% of its value. And then we look at the DeFi protocols running on Solana, and we can see that Serum, which is a leading Serum, Radium, Orca, Aldrin, and Step, all down in trading volume. So
especially Serum, by the way. Radium and Orca's not that much.
Yeah.
Serum's down by 50% from 70 to 35 roughly.
Yeah, and Serum's a major,
quite the drop, isn't it?
Big player, big holder of TVL on Solana.
Yeah, isn't the way it works? Doesn't Serum provide liquidity to all the others? Like, isn't it like an aggregate? Like, doesn't Serum aggregate all liquidity? And I'm not 100% sure how Serum works. I kind of recall that Serum helps Radium to exist.
Yeah, basically what you said is correct. Without getting too complicated, they provide the underlying liquidity and make trades possible. They're the ones with the highest value of TVL, so they're making trades possible. But yeah, they are like the backbone of the ecosystem there. So a fall for them is a problem. But obviously, we've seen falls across the board. Don't want to dwell on the negative. So Solana, for me, I said at the beginning, I think they came out all guns blazing, going head to head with Cardano and all the other networks. I think people kind of are quick to jump on Solana and they want them to fail because of how much they've shouted a bit. So you've got to take it with a little bit of salt, pinch of salt as well. But we've seen positives. So last week, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, Solana released a Web3 wallet, which is an industry first, I believe. Which is, a mobile phone. Sorry, not a wallet.
Yeah,
a mobile. That's an industry first, right, guys? I'm not 100%.
You had the HTC Exodus, and you had the Finny phone. Finny was made by Sirin Labs.
You're right.
So there have been past endeavors into the crypto phone space. So it's not an industry first, even though I think the Solana mobile phone has some interesting. I mean, it's not like it's being developed solely as a Web3 phone and not as a normal smartphone with
Web3
features
attached.
So maybe that makes it a bit different.
We could say the first true Web3 phone, maybe.
Yeah,
That's probably why they
Maybe
did
let's
that.
not put any quotes next to anything.
No, don't quote us on this.
No.
Don't quote me on that. But one thing that's been going pretty well for Solana in the downfall of Ethereum, not in the downfall, as NFTs on Ethereum started to kind of like lose their appeal a little bit, people were looking elsewhere. And we saw some pretty hot things happening on Solana with OK Bears. And yeah, like Rob, I think you've got some data here for this as well. Marketplaces on Solana. We've got Magic Eden, which is a leading marketplace. Yeah, there we go.
Yes. So Magic Eden is doing very well. Like,
and I'll just say these are just Solana sales.
Yeah, these are the sales on Solana. So this chart is only from Solana marketplaces. If you so Magic Eden is leading. Like OpenSea entered the game as well, but as you can see, not with that much success. Like $500,000 in 7 days. Magic Eden, which is the Solana native NFT marketplace, does 15 million in a week. Now, what's of course interesting is like how does that compare to other marketplaces on other chains? Well, if you look at OpenSea did 108 million across three different blockchains.
Yeah.
X2Y2 with all its wash trading, even though we filter on DappRadar, we now have a very elaborate wash trading filter that's still being tweaked and developed. We registered 13.3 million in NFT trading on X2Y2 and 5 million on LuxRare. Now, that still puts Magic Eden in a strong position. Like it's the clear number 2 among all NFT marketplaces.
And it's only Solana. So people clearly still trading Solana. That it's NFTs on Solana, and it's obviously a platform that it's not going away despite these issues. Well, not even going away, but it's not, on its way out at all. But they have had a string of bad news stories, really.
No, yeah, and Magic Eden is interesting nonetheless. Like, no, they recently became a unicorn, meaning that they have a $1 billion plus valuation. This is a bear market. Like, people are not throwing away money as easily as they are in a bull market. So companies investing in Magic Eden, valuating it at $1 billion, that shows trust.
Yeah.
And yes, Solana needs to become better. Like, Solana needs to improve its uptime, remove the issues that they're facing. But consumer trust or consumer conviction, judging by let's make it monthly, judging by the 216,000 NFT traders that Magic Eden sees per month. Now that's pretty strong. I mean, in comparison, OpenSea across 3 different blockchains, 389,000. So Magic Eden does almost does more than half of OpenSea's active traders. And of course, in smaller values, but ultimately, like, what counts is the number of active users and not the value of the NFTs.
Yeah.
I also wonder whether the success of Magic Eden, because I read somewhere that they're talking about the complexity of on Solana's, the way that blocks are created, in that contracts and transactions have become more complicated over time. So before it was simple swaps. I'm just wondering out loud whether perhaps the success of Magic Eden is contributing to the downfall of the network, in that it's becoming overextended and overused due to increased NFT sales and different types of mechs. So it's possible that they're eating themselves to that regard, but I am quite sure they'll sort this out, to be honest, and fix. And they still retain a lot of. I mean, they're 9th by market cap, so they're not doing too bad, are they?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of true Solana believers, and I think that their community is strong and will maintain the level through the current bear market and things that are happening.
Yeah.
But from one community to our own community, I want to bring up this question that I saw on Discord from one of our users called BCF. And I thought it was quite pertinent to what's happening at the moment with the cross-chain staking launch, the run-through we had earlier from you, Rob. And the question was, they're curious if staking options are planned on any L2s. So this is for cross-chain staking. Are there any staking options planned on any L2s?
Yes. If you mean L2 as in any other chain than Ethereum, yes, we're going to support Polygon in the near future. ETA unknown, but if I say this year, then I'm probably not far off.
Yeah.
Technically, we can support completely different chains. So, like, I'm not going to, like, technically we could do stuff on Solana, or we could do stuff perhaps even on Immutable. I don't know, but layer 0 allows us to operate really across different chains.
Yeah,
that makes it super interesting. But right now, like, keep your eyes out for Polygon. I'm not going to say on the horizon, but it's on the roadmap.
Cool. So yeah, BCF. There's your answer. Make sure that they hear that their question was answered. We have another question here. I think it's for you, Ian. How do I use the rankings on DappRadar, and how can I filter to find the most active dApps?
Ooh, nice question. Let me show you. That would be easier. All right, one sec. Okay, so if you come and you land on DappRadar, this is the homepage, right? So the first place, sorry, Charlie, first part of the question is how do I
use the rankings on DappRadar, and how can I filter to find the most active dApps? So how do I use the rankings first off?
Well, how do you use the rankings? First of all, navigate to the rankings using the top bar menu, rankings. So click on that. Now here, what you're seeing, these are all the blockchains that we track. I think it's about 30, 35, possibly
45.
More. Keeps growing every week. Yeah, it's crazy. So these are all the blockchains that we track. If you want to see dApps across all the blockchains, just leave it selected onto all, which you can see here. In categories, you'll see games, DeFi, gambling, on and on. If you want to specify a category for the dApps you're looking at, click games. Now you're only seeing games. Click gambling, you only see gambling, and so on. Okay, so using the rankings, and also over here, what you have is time filters. So what you're looking at, if we just run across from left to right, category, games, the balance, the users, so the unique active wallets, the volume, and the activity. And we can filter that over 24 hours, 7 days, and 30 days. So you can have a long lens or you can have a short lens on what's going on. So here we can see PancakeSwap, last 30 days, 2.15 million active wallets have gone to PancakeSwap and connected with their wallet. Pretty good. The highest number there, as you can see, by a long, long way. So that's how you basically use the rankings. And if you want to look at specific dApps on specific networks, click the filter at the top. So I want to see, I don't know, let's have a look for games on Harmony. Are we in there? Yes. So we've now got the #1 leading game on Harmony, which is DeFi Kingdoms, and Mars Colony is there. Now, if you look here, you can see 2 networks. All this means is that this particular dApp is running on 2 networks, and you are looking at the data for the one you selected, which is Harmony. If you go deeper, you can then look at both side by side, or you can just look at Avalanche and so on. So little bits of nuance there. So looking through the rankings is quite straightforward. Why would you want to look through the rankings? Because you're looking for dApps that are doing well. That's why you're looking through the rankings, and you're looking for things that look interesting and might, pique some excitement in you to have a look at. So that's how to use the rankings from a very basic level. You get 25 results per page, and you can just keep flicking across and keep going and going. So that's
thousands of dApps, haven't we?
Yeah, I think it's like 40. There's many, many thousands. So all these dApps, thousands of dApps. Now, do I really want to look at all of them? No, not today. Today, I'm interested to know about which ones are attracting a benchmark level of users that I've set in my head. And that number, so sorry, let's just quickly go back. Click onto filter, and let's filter by users. I want to have dApps with a minimum of 500 users and a maximum. Let's not bother with a max. Let's go with 1,000 and apply. So now what we're seeing is every dApp tracked by DappRadar that has more than 1,000 unique active wallets connected to it in 7 days. Just off the bat, that's a pretty good indicator that there's something worth looking at here, because people are interacting with it and people are coming and they're trying it and they're using it. So you can see, you look through, and we've basically gone from however many pages we had to 11. So we've refined nearly 4,500 pages of data into 11. So now we can see who's hot and who's making the most significant moves.
Okay, so what could be interesting, just from a investment advice, but like if you want to be early, and so I want to search between 1,000 and 5,000. Like I want to go drive into a game. I want to be early.
Okay.
So between 5,000. And now games.
Games.
I want to play games.
Let's have a look what we got.
Okay.
Some nice options.
Oh, the sandbox is second.
Yeah, but sandbox, of course, is only trading. So like the number of users you see means a bit different for each of those games, right? So that requires some deeper research from your side as a user.
Yeah.
But right now, how many games do we have at the bottom? How many pages?
2 pages, 50 games that are currently attracting between 1,000 and 5,000 unique active wallets per week.
No, yeah, that's a good, like now I can dive into 50 projects to see, okay, what is it? What do those users numbers mean? Like, is it only trading NFTs or is it people actually playing?
Yeah.
And is it something I want to dive into? But now you have like a range, a criterion you set for yourself, and you make it actionable through DappRadar.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, I'm only interested in marketplaces. This is like the Dapp store. That's what we are. So you can choose your genre that most interests you and also discover outside your genre as well, right? So you can look at, I'm only interested in marketplaces between those numbers that we applied across 7 days or 24 hours or however you want to do that. So yeah, it really helps to kind of zoom in onto the rankings, because the rankings can be quite overwhelming. There's a lot there to look at.
Yeah, they're daunting, aren't they? If you don't know where to start, it's really tough. But as you say, if you get it down to 50 or somewhere between 25 and 50, it's far more manageable. You can actually look at each one individually.
Now, hold on. Can you filter for me on users and on volume?
Yep. What do you want for your users?
Let's say 1,000, 5,000. That's fine.
Yeah, and then you want to filter on your volume. For min?
No, you can't, because you need to be DappRadar Pro.
Oh, I'm not logged in. I'm not logged in.
And how do you become DappRadar Pro?
Oh, that's a good tentative link there, Robert. How would I activate my DappRadar Pro?
What you can do is you can get 5,000 radar tokens, and when you have 5,000 radar tokens in your wallet, you automatically unlock Radar Pro options on the website.
And then once you get those 5,000, you can stake them, you can earn more, and you can still keep your pro license or pro status.
That's the idea. Yeah.
Yeah. When it's staked. Yeah.
On that lovely circle of education and cross-chain staking, I think we'll leave it there because we've already run far too far over. I know it's always time flies when you're having fun. But
we missed a week. That's why.
We did miss a week. That's true. But I would end on saying that go and check out cross-chain staking. Seriously, it's an amazing tool. It's an amazing development, and it's really exciting. And everyone at DappRadar is really excited about that as well. So we say leave it there, guys. Let's all say bye, and we'll see you all next week.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
See you all later.
Cheers, guys. Have a nice weekend.
Check out cross-chain staking.
See you later, guys.
See you later, everyone. Bye.